we've been talking about financial breaches. Everton and Nottingham Forest, of course, the spotlight falls on them. We've heard from Richard Masters, who's also, to be quite honest, ducked the odd question about Manchester City. But Nottingham Forest, we know for their part, along with Everton, have been charged with breaching financial rules, the Premier League's financial rules, Simon. So much so that Forest are moving quickly. Forest, owned by the Greek shipping magnate Evangelos Marinakis, have appointed Nick DeMarco, KC, barrister with experience of financial fair play cases, to represent them. What have Forest done, and how are they going to try and argue their way out of it?
What Forest have done is they've overspent in the first season in the Premier League. They were allowed to have a certain amount. You're allowed to have 105 million in the Premier League. You're allowed to have about 12 or 13 million in the Championship. They had 2 years in the Championship and 1 year in the Premier League in the last 3 years. So that means they don't get 3 years of Premiership losses. They only get one. So they're only allowed to lose 61 million quid. They've lost more than 61 million quid. Part of their argument is that they sold Brennan Johnson at a time when they could achieve maximum value, which was in a competitive market at the end of August, at the end of the transfer window, rather than sell him earlier in a bear market where they've got a reduced price, but they've got some ability to be able to manage their financial fair play. So what their argument in part will be is we want to be able to, and there is provisions for it. There is an allowance for the Premier League to look at this, which is we sold a player at a time when we achieved maximum value, and we want to adjust that transaction back into the previous year as a consideration to be able to get us past this problem. Now, I say that's fair thinking to some extent. I'd also say that by January of last year, Nottingham Forest would have had financial projections, management accounts, projecting forward all their revenue streams, all their cost base, all their wages, all their bonuses, all their TV money, all their merit payments, all their cup revenues, and every cost to know what they were going to look like at the end of June. So they would have known in January, by the end of January, after the transfer window's been closed and they can't spend any more money, what they're going to look like in June. So that gave them 4 or 5 months to plan or not bought the players they did in January. Yeah. Like most things in football clubs didn't believe that the Premier League and the new rule structure have the teeth. So I think personally that there's an inherent unfairness. I think Nottingham Forest, any team that gets promoted from the Championship, should have a little bit of dispensation. Should have a little bit. I think the FFP rules or the profit and sustainability rules are right for governance. I just think they're a blunt instrument, and I think they need to be sophisticated. I think new ownership models should be given dispensation on the losses that they're allowed, so it defeats the argument about cartels being maintained. I think Premier clubs that are coming up from the Championship, that come up from a very disadvantaged position, that want to have a go, should be given a bit of dispensation in the first season, i.e. greater allowable adjustments or allowable losses, so they get a fair opportunity to compete in the Premier League and not just go back down again. And I think that the governance should be there, because what we're trying to do, what is more important, like I said yesterday, the stability and sanity of an industry financially, or individual moments in time where owners come in, do what they want, and break the ecosystem. Yeah. There's a balance to be struck. But Forest have got a sustainable argument. But this path has been trodden by Everton with the transfer of Richarlison and what they could have got for Richarlison against what they did get. And also Everton suggesting, I understand, that they've lost 200 million worth of commercial deals. I do hope they're not referring to those commercial deals that might have come from Usmanov. Okay. Because that would be a strange little conundrum, wouldn't it?
Has this become the season of asterisks?
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, asterisks are denoting people's achievements, because like so many things in football, all of a sudden, we don't want anybody on the pitch. So it's a new hard and fast rule. No invasions of the pitch. Last 30 years, everyone come on, it's quintessentially English football. Happy days, invade the pitch. Now it's not. Now we mean it. Now financial fair play means it. We've had financial fair play for 15 years. It's really not had the teeth that it's got now, because now they mean it. But why do they mean it now? Why do they mean it now? Is it because the Spanish have set examples of what they were prepared to do in their league and put salary caps in? Look what happened to Barcelona and all the troubles that they had there. Is it because they're worried about independent regulation and want to see that they can show the clean house? Is it because they're worried about Middle Eastern money and what that's going to do, and they want to make sure that governance will also extend to them as well, and they want to lead the way by showing how the elite leagues behave, and if they want to play in the elite leagues, the Saudi teams, they're not going to be able to do it on a basis of financial profligacy. All of these things come into play, but I think governance is right. I just think it's a little bit blunt of an instrument right now. It needs to be sophisticated, but not sophisticated to achieve what Nottingham Forest and Everton might want. Yeah. Sophisticated to be more fit for purpose in a sport that's evolving all the time.
While you've been talking, And you've been on it from start to finish. I've been looking at many of the messages coming in, and many of the fans are saying this morning, fans who do not support Everton, do not support Forest, are saying, well, we abide by the rules, so why shouldn't they? There's Jason, a Wolves fan. I have no sympathy for Everton or Forest. My team is Wolves. We made big sales to comply with FFP rules, so why didn't they do the same? In other words, Wolves fell into line, according to Jason, his club, because we were told to do. Anybody else who didn't, that actually saw Lopetegui leave
but it's like
the football club.
But it's like,
think of it.
yeah, no, I don't think that was actually the real motivations.
Yeah.
But Lopetegui is whatever he is. But it's like saying, why have Palace?
Yeah, he was saying we need more to compete, but Wolves wouldn't give them it.
Why have two clubs? That season would have already gone. That financial fair play circumstances would have passed because the year would have passed. They'd have bought in August for the next year. But the point is it's like asking the question, why have Brighton kicked on so much when they're not a bigger club than Crystal Palace? They're a smaller club. Why have Palace that have been in the Premier League longer than Brighton not achieving the things at Brighton? Because do you know what? People run things differently and some people run things better. And so the answer to your question is Wolverhampton Wanderers have made decisions to ensure that they stayed within it. Nottingham Forest didn't.
Got you.
And neither did Everton.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.